Is there going to be more soon in regard to partnerships when it comes to Zebec? Well, supposedly yes, and I'll break that down in today's video, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and let me explain why. Because remember in my last video when I was talking about Simon, the CEO of Zebec, being on the podcast or in the interview with Zach Rector, he was talking about how there was going to be this large bank in Europe that was going to be announcing a major partnership, basically, somewhere along those lines, by the end of this month. So it's in May. But he also then followed up by saying how there's maybe going to be more coming soon. And I'll kind of paraphrase what he said a little bit. So he said how in the pipeline, somewhere along the lines of how they have some even larger companies with a larger global workforce, and how they have some tech staffing companies that are on board and will be deploying hopefully on Stellar or XRPL if it's ready by then. Wow. So if you think about that right there, if let's say, right, we do hear about this major partnership by the end of this month in regard to the large bank in Europe, there's supposedly going to be one that's maybe even bigger than that upcoming. Wow. That's pretty impressive. Just when I thought that Zebec can't outdo themselves, that's what they do, maybe. Now that's upcoming, right? But I'm just saying that seems very impressive. Again, even just the thought and the idea of a large bank in Europe announcing, let's say, a major partnership with Zebec, somewhere near the end of this month, basically, that's already considered like really massive, right? But Simon himself, even though I can't play the clip, but he said somewhere along the lines of how there's something that's going to be even bigger than that moving forward in regard to a partnership. However, people can actually check out the video, right? When it comes to Simon being interviewed by Zach Rector, he posted it on his channel. Again, he did say all this type of stuff. Now, granted though, I can't post any of the clips because it's not mine, but again, he did say this type of stuff. So yeah, I just find this to be really impressive. So maybe, right, in this year alone, we could very well see a couple of major partnerships. That just seems really impressive to me. And who knows what it's exactly going to be. But if we're assuming, right, that the one that's going to be announced near the end of this month is already a very large bank in Europe, something bigger than that, what could it be? Who knows? There's a lot of speculation here. But again, if it's even going to be bigger than what's going to be announced near the end of this month, wow. I'm just kind of curious what it could be, right? I mean, there's a lot of guesses, but who knows? At the end of the day, they don't reveal anything. And there is probably a good reason why Simon hasn't, revealed this, right? As of late. Because when it comes to like a partnership, usually it takes time. There's usually some non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that. Like they just can't randomly say things just when it's in discussion. Or let's say, even if it's already locked in, right? Let's say the partnership is already, sealed, basically, it's already done. They can't just randomly announce it whenever. Usually there's sometimes an agreement. Usually sometimes a certain party wants to announce it first, the other party announces it later. There's a lot of complexities when it comes to that. So I understand that maybe from kind of a contractual perspective, Simon can't maybe announce some of that stuff as of right now. But the fact that he's even alluding to that right there, that's very impressive, in my opinion. When I take a look at Zebec, wow, when I first held this, I didn't know it was going to do all of this, right? Like the Algorand partnership, the Stellar partnership, the Ripple partnership, and now allegedly another partnership near the end of this month with a large bank in Europe. And then on top of that, upcoming something even bigger than that. Wow. Imagine, right? If they announced that partnership, like the one that's allegedly going to be bigger than this large bank in Europe, imagine if they announced that like this year. That's like in theory, like already 4 major known partnerships, right? Just in this year alone, like Stellar, Ripple. We take a look at the one that they're planning to be announcing near the end of this month, like let's say the large bank in Europe, and then something that's going to be even bigger than that. So that's like already 4 that's known so far. And that's not even considering what other partnerships he's not even mentioning that's upcoming maybe. That seems very impressive. Again, a lot of people thought that Zebec was cooked, but it seems like from a fundamental standpoint of view, they keep doing things. So yeah, I'm just very impressed actually. But let's talk about the price charts real quick when it comes to Zebec. Up almost 8% in the past 24 hours. What could have been a cause when it comes to this? Well, there's some reasons. I don't think it's just only because of the recent partnerships that Zebec has announced or are planning to announce moving forward. I think there's more than that because we take a look at Bitcoin, we saw it reach around 82 grand. However, there's been a slight pullback, but still stabilizing at around 80 grand so far. I think it has brought a lot more of a good sentiment when it comes to the space, and I think inherently some of it did trickle down when it comes to Zebec and just the broader altcoin space in general. Not to mention as well, I feel like Zebec has been establishing itself a little bit more fundamentally within the global trade and finance space, because not only do we see the partnerships that, you know, have existed when it comes to Zebec, but we also have to take a look at it from the compliance side of things, right? Like ISO 20022, MICA, SOC2. And I've been mentioning throughout my videos that sometimes when the market does pick up, people usually do care about that type of stuff. So we're beginning to kind of see a small hint of it, I guess, as of right now. Now, to see Zebec kind of return, quote unquote, to its former glory, like let's say back in 2025, like when the market cap was around 540 million, I think in order to kind of see that, we'd probably have to maybe, right, wait for a bigger change in market sentiment, maybe Bitcoin at around 100 grand or something like that. Who knows? But I'm just saying, either I wait for quite a while or either I don't. It's fine by me. I mean, I've been holding Zebec for well over a year, so I don't mind waiting. That's what I thought I would have to do in the first place. But in the meantime, we take a look at now. Zebec has almost 106,000 holders. Let's just think about this. Before that stellar partnership happened, there was around 96,000 holders. So ever since the stellar partnership, we've seen around a 10,000 increase in the amount of holders. Now, I think also a good amount of that was contributed through the Ripple partnership, which of course Simon did announce at the event at XRP Las Vegas. But I'm saying still, seeing that right there, just in like 2026, right? It's kind of a little bit almost hard to believe in some cases, because in 2026, the altcoin space, it didn't like have a good start by any standards that a lot of people would like to say, right? And still, even despite that, Zebec, off of partnerships alone, basically, we saw like the amount of increase in the amount of holders like that. Pretty, I think, just bizarre for me to see. Keep in mind, Zebec recently crossed, right, 100,000 holders. Back then, if we take a look at in 2025, the amount of holders, it didn't seem as dynamic as it was as of right now. The partnerships didn't seem that good back then comparatively to right now. And also on top of that, the Zebec products, I feel that it's a lot better right now than before, because take a look at the super app, right, that launched this year. They're planning the mobile version soon. So at the end of the day, when it comes to Zebec, when people like to say, it sucks, it's done, you know, I can't control anyone, but when I take a look at it objectively speaking, I just feel like it improved a lot more than last year. However, if I take a look at it as well, the market cap is around 365 million. Now, people like to say, well, if it goes back to around 540 million, they find it very boring. And to each their own, but remember when I was first making a video on Zebec, the market cap was below 100 million. So even the journey from then to right now has been pretty decent. So let alone like to around a 540 million market cap. But besides that point though, assuming, let's say, I only entered at around a 540 million market cap, or let's just say for simplicity's sake, like I entered at around a 500 million market cap for whatever reason, right? If let's say that was the only time I entered, my thing is, if I take a look at Onyx, which is Zebec's closest competitor, it reached around $1 billion in terms of market cap last year. What is better right now, fundamentally, Onyx or Zebec? I would say that even though I'm still a very big fan of Onyx, I would have to say that Zebec is just much better fundamentally as of right now when compared to Onyx in terms of the moves that it's been making. So if we assume, right, that Zebec, for whatever reason, matched Onyx's market cap last year at a certain point, let's say for whatever reason it went to around $1 billion in terms of market cap. Even if I acquired at around a 500 million market cap, 500 million is still 2 times away from $1 billion. In which case, some people like to say, wow, that's very boring. But Bitcoin going back to its all-time high is not a 2x. You know what I mean? And even if Bitcoin went back to its all-time high, which again, is not even over 2 times lower than that, or even around 2 times lower than that, even despite that, a lot of people would already consider it like a very big celebration. So why would I find that boring here but exciting there? It doesn't make sense, right? If I find it exciting for a different project, that type of movement, I'd also find it exciting just for any other project that did that type of movement. That's just my perspective. but I'm not telling anyone to do anything, right? This is just my personal perspective. However, I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward, so hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a very nice day. I greatly appreciate it. It's Willie the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.